Greetings one and all, and welcome back to Nimbatus with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome to yet another episode in which we try to devour a world by making a worm. Now, the last time we did this, it went okay. We made an okay craft with a lot of flaws, mostly because I didn't understand what I was doing, and I'm a bit of a dum-dum to say the least. In today's version, we're going to be making it a lot better. Not only will the body parts not spin around because we're going to be using the hinges correctly, we're just going to give drills to almost every part. This way, nothing is actually going to be touching the world, unlike this version, which was meant to kind of bounce around in the tunnels it makes, make it look a little bit more true worm-like. The new version will be all about devouring. So let's get ourselves started. Actually, one thing we could do is if we exit this, it wouldn't be terrible if we had a satellite. So let's just copy this, because that's the easiest way to do this, and remove the actual body here, but keep the satellite. That will instantly decouple as soon as we enter the world. It's just going to hold all of our power for us, all of our fuel, so the worm is less explosive, so if we do hit something, it's not a big deal. Now, one thing we need to decide pretty quickly is how are we going to control this craft? Are we going to control it using a cursor-bound directional sensor, or are we going to make it just very standard keyboard controls? And the weird thing is, I think we are going to go with the keyboard controls. Although the mouse version would be a lot easier, I feel like if we use the keyboard controls, we can have a lot more of the manual firing weapons, the weapons in which I actually have to aim, without causing too many problems when it comes to the worm turning, and probably turning back in on itself if I'm trying to aim at something specific. So I am going to be removing the sensor completely. There we go. Probably should have done that first, because it removed most of the other stuff. Now you attach to the main body, just for a second, do a bit of a spin. Deleting things can take time. There we are, all is well and all is good. So, between the last video and this one, what I've came to realise is that drills which face outwards, so like let's say this, still work. Those two will be drilling anything which comes across like this. Before, I didn't think that was exactly how they worked, but it certainly does. That way, this is still functional, which means we could have the body parts have drills on the side and still work completely if something's coming in from the side. So, yeah, that's the plan. But first of all, let's just build the body. We're going to build it like all of the other bodies we've built. It will have most of the thrust. We're going to have a speed limit on it, so we can't go too fast, but the amount of thrust is still there, so we can go up out of the world once we've actually entered. I think that'll be an okay head shape, and then we can have this basically just completely filled with thrusters, and then the body parts could have the manually aimed weapons, which should be something different. I've already used most of the weapons at our disposal before, but I have not used the laser beam towers. I have also seen several images posted by the Nimbatus Twitter in which several worm variants have used the lasers and then coiled around the target and then basically bombarded it, which I think looks really, really cool. So, not exactly being original here, but I never really claimed to be, but I think that would work really well. How about if you moved out more? Yeah, that would give me some more space to work with as well, which is pretty darn nice. So let's add our turning thrusters. We're going to need quite a few, since this is the only place I'm really going to be able to add them. There, and of course the back of the craft itself. That should be stable enough. Let's make you turning thrusters as well, because of course the further away you go from the center of mass, the better this is going to be. So... no, you need to be... yes, okay, there we go, you can be D, all of you need to be A. Oh, that's already correct. Excellent. Just make sure it works. All the drills are already on, fantastic, and we have turning. Now all we need is the ability to actually move forwards. Now, if you can hear something in the background, that is my pet toad currently going absolutely mental because he can see a fly outside his tank. A weird aside, I admit, and this is the problem with having him literally on my work desk. Normally he's very quiet. When he's hungry, no. Now, we don't need to turn too fast, honestly. We don't want to be too quick. Oh, come on. Seriously, you can still outpace us? So that's okay. Of course, though, we will still need more thrust because we're going to be adding quite a bit of mass behind us. So a couple more would not hurt in the slightest. Actually, let's just do this, and once again, let's add a couple of small turning thrusters at the back, just to make it a bit more tilty, because that's a word which I think exists. I'll need you to be opposited like this. Once again, words I'm sure totally exist. So you need to be D, and copy the A. Actually, we could do... Ooh, that does make that a little bit vulnerable. I don't like that, to be perfectly honest. Unless we add another couple of drills, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And we almost have the worm's head. A couple of shields would be nice. But actually, I don't like how shields look in this game. I've got to be honest, I just do not care for how they look. So maybe we won't do that. I would like to keep on going a bit... I would like the head just to be a little bit bigger still. That's the thing. Just attach you to the switch. Okay, there we are. Then we have loads more space for more thrust. Once again, I just need a lot of thrust, not because of speed. We don't really care about going too fast, because I think that just looks wrong in this type of build. It's more to do with... Ooh, you can't go there. It's more to do with making sure we can move all of that mass. Now, I'm moving these forward because I would like to add another switch here. Okay, we almost have all of this set up, at least in terms of the speed limit. We just need to quickly swap all of these to a new key. Fantastic. And there we are. So, how does this work? We have the speed sensor set to activate the Z output at 10 meters or higher. We then have a NOT gate, so when Z isn't active, it's activating V, and if Z is active, it simply cuts that out, so this output isn't being used. And then finally, we have an AND gate, which needs both of these keys to have the output, and the key is V from the NOT gate, which again will be turned off if the speed sensor goes over a certain limit, and then W, which is us actually going forwards. So in theory, what should happen... Okay, I've clearly connected that wrong, but, yep, as you can see, the thrust keeps on turning off because of all of that. How did I manage to connect these? Oh, I've connected them all to the button, haven't I? Okay, I see how I've done that wrong. There we go, maximum speed is reached, but the amount of thrust we can generate is not affected. A little bit wobbly on the inside there, that would definitely do with a solid block, actually one there as well, but yeah, I'm actually happy with that. I think that's all we really need. Now what we could do is if we didn't use the logic splitter here on the satellite, we could add all of these logic gates and even the button to this. That's how simple it would be. We just simply put that on the satellite, then we don't have to use it for all of this. Maybe a bit faster than 15 though, sorry, faster than 10. That seems a bit slower than I remember. Either way, let's get started with this. So we want the free hinge. Ta-da. And what we're going to do is we need to make sure, unlike last time, that the free hinge works like this. The hinge we connect to the one in front will always be in front of the center of mass, and then we add a second hinge to the back before connecting to the next craft. The reason is... There we are. The reason is, if we don't do this, then things are going to flip constantly, and it's just going to be an absolute nightmare. So let's just quickly make a very, very basic body with some very, very basic weapons. I wonder what the best tower is we have. Long laser would be the best. And that has a bonus range, although it doesn't actually say that in the stats, which is a little bit weird. I have noticed that before. The split laser is pretty cool. That is definitely very, very cool. You two aren't towers, sadly. You're a short beam. We don't want that. We want the longer variant. Less energy usage, which is coolish. Plus, it's green. We never use green weapons at the moment. I know that's such a silly reason to use it, but we don't. At the moment, we keep on using blue and red. But this one has bonus shots. I will decide soon. Well, that is a lot more stable than the original worm. We just need to work on how we're connecting the actual body parts themselves. Also, definitely need to go faster than this. Now, what would be better, having a double hinge or a single hinge like this? So the double hinge would be essentially, if I can find the darn thing, there it is, adding a second free hinge like this, and then connecting that like that. So it's like this. That would give it a better sense of movement. But, yeah, things like that may happen. For now, let's just try the single hinge, see how that goes, and then if that doesn't work, we can always go back to that. It's our backup. Okay, that looks really cool, and we definitely need more turning thrusters, so lesson learned there. More turning thrusters, and that looks absolutely awesome. Now, I would like to have something other than the large block in the middle. I think it would look better if each of them had something? I don't know what, just something. Maybe just color LEDs? Oh, we could have it as well. Oh, I know exactly what I want to do. So what I want is each one of these to light up in sequence. How would I do that? I know how to do 2 in sequence. You see, I'm not very good with logic gates, as I've said before, but I think that would look so good, I'm definitely going to have to try and figure it out. Oh dear. Ah, well, we can always add them back in a second. Nothing too major there. Let's just remove all those. That looks really weird. Now it looks like a skeleton, which is different. So now, let's figure out how to make these work. So rather than the idea of the lights going down, I think I basically figured it out, but I've got a better idea. This. The lights turn on when you fire, and doesn't that just look really nice? In my opinion, that's better. Definitely. Okay, yeah, we are definitely sticking with that. I'm going to just go ahead and do this, make a few more changes, and then I think it's time we go into the world and see if we can devour it once more, this time with a more stable and much easier to use creation. Let's just do a very quick test run. So I'm electing not to use shields purely for looks, which may come back to bite us in the butt later. Go away. Going through with not a single issue. That is beautiful. So much better. And I can do this. Yep, I am very happy. Once again, not an original design. I take very little credit for this idea, since I did see an image basically... Ooh, hello. Which I did copy, so that's the first time I've had an issue. So maybe those front drills should be a little bit more forward-facing. So a few minor stability issues, but other than that, for a first test run, I think we're going just fine. Plus, of course, we can just do that, which will get rid of most of the issues. Om nom nom. Oh, that looks so cool. Oh, I'm so happy with that. Hello there. And we can still kind of act like a spacecraft, which is pretty cool as well. Uh-oh, do not like those bombs. Let's get out of here, and once again... Oh, I love that as well, when you wrap around the target. We'll just do that. Okay, I'm having a bit too much fun here. I could spend all day doing that, so let's leave the planet. So, what issues do we face? A few stability issues just with how this craft is built. As you can see, there's far too much on this single block, which really doesn't help. And then all the weight of these is being pulled on this. It's not great. I think moving the gates onto this would just make life so much easier. We could have more turning thrusters, we could have more stability. It's just the right thing to do. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We just need to shift some of these numbers, that's all. So 7, 8. Time for another test run. So, looking back at the footage, it was the very front-facing weapon and block of each of the body parts which was getting stuck on things. So hopefully now, with this in place, protecting it, it should be a bit easier to avoid. Also, I have built it now a little bit more stably, which is very nice indeed as well. Okay, laser off. Let's just make sure this works. Hello there. Let's try and purposefully make some sharp turns. So, 1 second, and now just holding down left as much as possible. Built this one a bit too close to the main body part, but other than that, no issues so far. Actually struggling to make a sharp corner because of the new placement, which I think is good enough to say it's fixed. Just some standard physics wobble there, but that's going to happen regardless how we build this, sadly. Yeah, that is very cool. Okay, I'm very happy with that. It seems to be working just fine. Let's see if we can make this a little bit further back without it being too unstable. Yep, see, that's the problem. The further back you go, the more they are liable to sort of bungee cord back and forth, which is really irritating. Now, doing this as well will also increase the amount of space between the two drills, meaning those sharp corners might become an issue again. Still need more thrust, though. More thrust, less weight on the main body part. Goodbye, satellite. Hello, enemies. Goodbye, enemies. And yeah, it still works just fine. Turning thrusters at the back are a little bit unstable, but other than that, goodbye. Just about enough to make us move upwards. Also, why do I still have that button there? I do not need that button. I've already replaced that on the satellite. Apparently I just missed that the entire time. Now, one thing I do want to quickly check is this planet we're on right now, normal gravity, normal air resistance. I think on a heavy gravity world, this just wouldn't work. Well, I just found something out. The speed limit only works if it's on the piece of drone which is actually moving at that speed. So essentially what was happening is that since this was up here, it was never actually activating, it's just we were very slow, so I couldn't really tell the difference. We didn't actually need the speed limit, because the sensor seems to pick up the speed of its own self, of the item itself, the sensor's speed, how fast it's currently moving. So how fast do I want myself to go then? Obviously too quick. Maybe closer to about 18, 19, something like that. I do hate the constant stop-starts, but it's the only way to have enough thrust, really. Unless we use, what are they called? The dynamic thrusters, which can be turned up and down. Which is very cool, just I don't like them as much. Oh, actually, what if we tied dynamic thrusters to the speed limit, to the speed sensor? So every time the speed sensor is active, you're going too fast, it turns down the thruster, but then have a NOT gate that when the speed sensor isn't active, we increase the thrust. Therefore, it's always staying at a certain speed, enough thrust to activate that speed. And then the thrust would increase if we need to go uphill or something. That, I think, would work really well. I'm not going to do it right now, because I'm running out of time, but that is a really cool idea, and definitely something I need to explore. Okay, so I lied. We're going to be using the dynamic thrusters to see if that idea will actually work. Now, the one problem with it is that it is going to make us a little bit too fast at the very beginning. So how do we want this then? If the speed sensor is active, we want to decrease the thrust. Simple as that. I would like it to be permanently on. Might be silly, but for now I'd like it just to be permanent. Oh, saying that though, That would enable us to be a bit easier at the start. No, I would like it to be permanently on. Let's just keep that. So, to increase the thrust, all we need is a NOT gate, which we already have, thankfully, on V. As you can see, it's slowly getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, and then if we reached the speed limit, it would start getting weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. So let's just put all these in. I just couldn't stand the constant stopping and starting. It looks horrible in the recording, and honestly, it feels horrible. Start you off very slow. Speed is increasing. Oh, I just see, yep, it's going off now, and we are now at a steady speed. Absolutely fantastic. And then we have these just as backup thrusters in case we need some extra thrust. Okay, that is really cool. Let's see if we can do the missions, and if we can, I will consider this a success. Here we go then. Hello, enemies. Please don't destroy anything. I know I don't have shields. Stop, 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 stop. Go away. No, damn. We're going to need shields, aren't we? I don't want to use shields, but we've already lost a drill. There we are, resources harvested. Fastest way to simply get through it, honestly. And then let's go back underneath, because that is far safer than being on the surface. That is, if I stopped, you know, destroying the surface so that the enemies could still shoot at me. Goodbye to you, and goodbye to that straggler. Oh, you broke your way through, so you must die. Oh, do I even want to kill that? Could just ignore it. So here's one problem. It's very slow to react. So maybe we would also need a kind of manual override for the thrusters, or more backup thrusters, but still, as an idea, as a concept. Did that enemy just get inside of the craft? Yeah, it just takes too long. The other problem is, it counts falling sideways as speed. I think maybe just manual control over it might be a better idea, rather than the speed limit thing, because like right now, it looks like we're falling to the side because of how long it takes for that to eventually get back to full. With the regular thrusters on the speed limit, at least it was an instant reaction, but this is far smoother. I don't know, I think a few more little minor changes are needed, but it's definitely working. Ooh, that's what I like to see. Bonus number of shots for the shotgun, that's pretty darn awesome. So for now though, I'm afraid I am all out of time for today's episode. I'm going to do a little bit off camera to finish this off, and I will show it off in the next video. Either way, this is far better than the previous version, and then when this is finished and is the next version, I think it will be finally complete. If you have enjoyed the video, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that Nimbatus is a series you wish to see continued in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. And yes, that satellite is hideous.